Okay, the next in line is Emily Moffat. She's going to talk about Open OnDemand and locking HPC resources through the browser. Thank you so much.
All right, good morning. My name is Emily Moffat Sadeghi, and I'm the Developer Relations Program Manager with Open OnDemand. And as Jordi put, I'm going to be discussing unlocking HPC resources all through the browser. So just by a show of hands, how many of you have heard of Open OnDemand? Okay, great. How many of you use Open OnDemand? Whether administer it, as a client, whatever. Okay, great. I love the enthusiasm. And then how many of you then have never heard of this and this is your first presentation or first time hearing of it? No one? Maybe a bit shy. Okay, well then that's great. Some of this might be review and some of this might be very familiar. Okay, so this is my agenda today. I'm gonna talk a little bit about an overview of Open OnDemand, talk through some of the community, supports, and then a little bit of development at the end. So what is Open OnDemand? Well, in the late 2000s, when smartphones gave us access to information just from about anywhere, we at the Ohio Supercomputer Center had an epiphany. Well, what if you could also access supercomputers from anywhere too? And that's where Open OnDemand was created. It was created as an open source software platform to easily access supercomputing resources through the browser. And I'm going to have a fun video in a second to show you what I mean through a browser with any device. I really mean about any device. And this is a really basic demo diagram to show you that Open OnDemand is that blue square where the client can access Open OnDemand and access a compute cluster, plugs into your authentication via Apache modules, and it's really as simple as that. And so the first main way that you can engage with Open OnDemand is actually as a client, as a user. You can access your organization's supercomputers from the web to compute on any device, anywhere. There is zero installation for the client, for the user, whereas, many years ago, we can think back to as a client or user, you had to download a VNC client. There's none of that with Open OnDemand. There's zero installation. You just run it entirely through the browser. It is easy to use. You can start computing almost immediately because of the simple interface and just you're clicking and navigating around the platform. And then it is compatible with any device, even a mobile phone, tablet, or a gaming system. So we'll see if this video launches, because if not, that would be a bit of a bummer. Looks like no. But okay, this video demonstrates that you can launch Open OnDemand on your computer, launch it on a tablet, you can launch it on a mobile phone, an Xbox, which is pretty funny because Xboxes have, browsers, in a smart car or an electric vehicle, and even in VR, which is pretty ridiculous. And there's a shot of my manager, posted up next to a tree using VR, and he's on Open OnDemand viewing jobs. Yeah? Could we play? Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. Well, let's take a look then. So I described this is the most common way to use Open OnDemand is through a laptop that we see, mobile phone, a tablet, or iPad, which is also very common, especially for students, college students, high school students, a gaming console. So I think that's an Xbox there. And then also a car dashboard. And that's the skyline, if you can see it in the background, of Columbus, Ohio, where we're located. And then, there we go, the kind of funny shot of Alan using Open OnDemand in VR. It's a great video. Great. So that's really the first main way to engage with Open OnDemand. The second is as an administrator, where you can actually administer web access to your supercomputers to really transform the way that your students and clients and users learn and work. And really, this is something we're super proud of. It lowers the barrier to entry. So it empowers users of all skill levels to, rather than using command line interface, you can just use a browser. And we're seeing this become more and more popular with younger generations not familiar with command line interface or using a shell. And so we've seen this rapid growth with just students. It's also free and open source, along with the support that we provide as well. We have a huge thriving community, and a lot of the support channels that I'm going to describe in a little bit are free and open source as well. There's lots of sharing and knowledge gathering from our community. And then finally, it's very configurable and flexible, which I have a few slides in a second to show you. So you can create and deploy your own applications. You can deploy other applications. You can change the dashboard to themes and so on to really customize it for what you need. And so this is a sample deployment from where Open OnDemand is developed and maintained primarily, which is the Ohio Supercomputer Center. So you can see there are messages of the day. You have some widgets on the side showing job efficiency reports through an integration with XTMod and also an open source software out of the University at Buffalo. Pinned apps or recently used applications there. If you can't see, it's Blender, RStudio, VS Code, and mainly the theme is blue, white, and red, which is sort of the brand of Ohio Supercomputer Center. This is Boston University in Massachusetts. So this is their dashboard of Open OnDemand. You can see the colors have changed. There's now a picture. There's a link to direct documentation. They have some information about trainings and so on and so forth. So it's got a bit of a different look. And then this is probably one of my favorites, the really cool art. So this is Wake Forest University out of the great state of North Carolina. And they have some pinned apps, so that's also customization where you can pin apps for your users. So you can see some different apps listed there. They have a similar message of the day, but off to the right, different colors, and then again, some really cool logos for the research computing department. It's also deployed worldwide, and as you can probably tell by this map, it's mainly in the United States or North America and in Europe. We do know that there are compute clusters in Antarctica, but as you can see, it's not shown on this map. But if you do know if OnDemand is installed on any of the clusters in Antarctica, that will make my week. That would be fantastic to know about. But this is from last fall, so we need to go back and update it. But it's just very impressive that we have over 100 countries and over 2,100 organizations using Open OnDemand. These are a few of the examples. It might be difficult to see in the back, but a few that I will call out that are in Europe or on this side of the world are CSC in Finland, RIKEN in Japan, Lorentz Institute. Some that you may recognize in the US are Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Stanford. And then in industry, some small companies such as NVIDIA. Some enabled utilities and applications that you might be familiar with. This is not comprehensive in any means, but just an illustration for our time today. The ones that I call out that are most popular and where OnDemand is heavily utilized is with MATLAB, Jupyter, RStudio, and VS Code. If there are others on this list that are not up here, please let me know. I would be happy to capture that and include those in any of our future presentations. Open OnDemand is also available through these 4 major commercial cloud providers. One of the more recent ones is Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, shown below. All those links, you can grab those, and it'll take you to either blog posts or articles or information on how to get OnDemand through those cloud providers. And this screenshot is actually from the recently general release of OnDemand Azure Cycle Cloud with Slurm integration. And so if you're interested in that, how to stand up Open OnDemand through Azure Cycle Cloud, there's a new blog post, I think as of a week or so ago, on how to do that with VS Code and Slurm integration. So very fascinating. So that's a little bit of an overview. Next, I want to talk about our thriving and very vast community. So we had our first ever Open OnDemand conference. We called it GOOD, the Global Open OnDemand Community. And it was held at Harvard University this past March. And we were just blown away by the amount of interest in this. Yes, our project has been around for over 10 years, but we've just been running out of time at conferences and BOFs, and tutorials to really engage with the community and talk and for them to connect with each other. So we wanted to hold a conference to allow and facilitate some of those more conversations. So we had over 170 attendees. We had attendees from all over, including 10 countries represented. Do IT Now was one of our platinum sponsors, and you can see some of the folks that attended there in one of the photos. And it was just a fantastic opportunity. We had some things called developer forums, which was just a way to engage directly with our developers and ask questions and just pick their brains. And overall, it was such an exciting time. A few things that we launched at the GOOD conference I'm going to talk a little bit about. The first one is our community portal. And this is really a way for our community to get further connected and integrated. One of the main pieces are affinity groups, which I'll talk a little bit more about. But really, this is a hub of information. So events, this is a hub for announcements, maybe some specific knowledge base, so on and so forth. They are really flexible, these affinity groups. They can be short-term, they can be long-term, they can have different goals, but these affinity groups really are the community coming together and forming, okay, we have this challenge or we have this interest in relation to Open OnDemand. How do we want to come together and work as a team, right? Put our brains together and solve this or move this forward. And so this is something that has been brewing for a little bit, and at the GOOD conference we were able to launch this and then provide a platform, our community portal, to help organize that a little better. So here are some examples of the affinity groups that have started. So as you can see on here, it's really all over. It's with genomics, with some specific type of science, structural biology, best security practices, on-demand front end, back end, LLMs. So it's really all over the place, and this is something, again, we're very excited about. And this is what they look like. So on the left-hand side with the photo, this is the list of the affinity groups, and on the right hand, what it actually looks like when you dig in. So if you're interested in any of those or want to propose your own, you can sign up and join at openondemand.org/portal. And if you have any questions too, we have a contact information on the website, and you can just ask away. Speaking of science as well, I wanted to share this really fascinating statistic. So one of our colleagues at the Idaho National Lab in the United States, they looked at their community of users. So when they installed Open OnDemand for their users, they found that it was 19 times faster time to science. And what they mean by that is there were 76 fewer hours between account creation and first login when using Open OnDemand versus traditional SSH access, and then 20 fewer hours between first login and first job. If you think about that, that's pretty impactful, especially for someone that has no idea what they're doing with a terminal or shell, right? They don't have to go and look up a ton. They can just navigate through a browser. And so our colleagues, if you're interested in finding out more about their findings, I have the link down there to, they called it Time to Science. But this is incredible. And the graphs, I know they're probably small, but they just show the drastic drop-off of the number of days versus the account creation and for job submission for users. So it's truly fascinating. Another video that I have too, I might need some assistance to show this. Oh, no, it's going to pop right up. Here's some other ways that on-demand is being used in science. So actually with NASCAR, driver comfort simulation, zebra anthrax transmission, so wildlife disease transmission is also pandemic spread projection that's being used, research on using Open OnDemand. Remote instrument control, specifically, I think, with cryo-EN, if you've heard of that. Star formation modeling, also very fascinating. You're kind of getting the very vastness of the different types of science. AI art generation with art classes in college, also all through Open OnDemand. And then finally, some agriculture with plant root communication. So it's just very vast how on-demand is propelling different elements of science and research forward. It's very, very cool to be a part of. So next I want to talk a little bit about support. So these are some of our established support mechanisms. We have GitHub, Discourse, Slack, and our newsletter. Discourse, if you haven't heard of it, please get involved. It's where you can post any questions or any help, and our developers or some of our community members are very quick, sometimes within hours, to jump in and assist you. And it's very fascinating, too, to go back in, and it's all archived. So if you have similar problems, you can go ahead and look them up and see, okay, yeah, this one bug that I'm running into or this one error I'm getting with this YAML file. Does anyone else have this similar issue? Yes, and you can find that. If not, our developers and community members would be happy to assist. So that's ondemand.org/discourse. Also, we have our GitHub documentation, which contains our release notes and app and how to install Open OnDemand as an administrator. Slack workspace as well as a way to kind of post questions, but then also form groups in collaboration. And then we do have a newsletter, which if you're interested in signing up for, I'll have a QR code at the end for that. We try not to, bombard you with emails. I'm very conscientious about that, but if you're interested in receiving updates about our monthly events, you can receive them right to your inbox. These are the 2 monthly community events that we hold. I believe the first, our tips and tricks call is actually tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern. I know these times are not very convenient for on this side of the world. We do have European and Asian timed versions of these calls that will be launching in the second half of 2025, which is very exciting. But these are just ways for our community to connect with the tips and tricks. This is hosted by a gentleman out of the University of Utah. And it's where people can come together, speak about best practices using Open OnDemand, installation of apps, or customizations of apps in OnDemand. And then our office hours are just where our development team, we sit on a Zoom call, and we answer any and all the questions that you may have, related to, hey, I saw these release notes, I have a question, to, again, I'm running into this issue, can you help me solve it? And so more information is on our website if you aren't able to grab it now. We also launched something at Good called our support subscriptions. And so really what this is a high-level customer support for implementing, installing, and maintaining Open OnDemand. It's also, too, a way to really bridge this gap that we've had for a little bit where commercial or different private entities say, oh, I would really love to use Open OnDemand, but I need to have some sort of contract or SLA really to then take back to my management or finance team, right, or HR. And we haven't had something like that because it's entirely open source. It's free. And so what these support subscriptions are doing is trying to bridge that gap between providing a little bit of support, written support, and agreed upon support for Open OnDemand in your installation of Open OnDemand. And also, too, I'll mention this contributes to sustainable ongoing funding for our project. We are funded primarily and entirely, actually, through the National Science Foundation now, but that has a certain limit. So this also, too, support subscriptions help contribute to the longevity of Open OnDemand. And just to mention very briefly some of the benefits of our support subscriptions, we have priority access to a discourse channel with our developers. So if you really need timely support during office hours, regular office hours, that is available to you. Priority GitHub triaging as well. And then the access to actually purchase consulting hours straight with our developers, which is also something that's been in very, very high demand, is having one-on-one time with our developers, but being an open source project and small team, that's very difficult. So through the support subscriptions, you now have access to do that. We're also actively looking for support partners worldwide that install or maintain Open OnDemand for their users or their clientele. And this is really where the Open OnDemand team will provide that third level support, where the support partners will provide that first and second level support, and in collaboration be able to best serve your clientele and your users. And some of the benefits of this is the native language support available during the more local business hours. Open OnDemand, we're mainly based in the United States and in Eastern time, so that can be difficult with response time. It enables also clients to purchase support with trusted partners in the region with maybe region-specific knowledge as well. And then this is also key if you need third-level support for, say, Open OnDemand for your clients during the tender process. You now have a way to say, yes, we do have third-level support escalation in case something goes wrong, in case the first and second level can't figure it out, so that's also a great benefit too. So that's with support. And the last thing I want to talk about a little bit is development. So here has been our development timeline with Open OnDemand. We have had, I believe, 5 patches since October 2024, with one major version released in December 2024, version 4.0. And some of our development planning, which is probably very similar across the board with other projects, but this is what it looks like. We identify issues. They come in through GitHub or Discourse. Then we do a little bit of prioritization with the team where we analyze them and look into them a bit further and prioritize them. Then we either grab those issues, or we do have some really great community members that are contributing back code, or we'll grab some of the issues coming in and they take them. And then those PRs are reviewed and planned for either the next patch or next release. Some technical updates as well that I wanted to share is that 4.1, our next minor release, is in progress. I have a GitHub board, which I'll show you where to find that, a GitHub project board where you can stay up to date on some of the progress and the issues that are being actively worked on, or what we have planned and say for epics, or some of the high priority things related to accessibility or community requests, which we do really, really value. Also, too, we have a new demo container image that was released, and this, again, is just listening to the community. We've had people come to us say, hey, I really want to try out Open OnDemand, but I don't want to set everything up. Do you have something where I can just spin something up and play around with it? And we have something very new for you. This was created by one of our lead developers, and I believe earlier this year. And we've already heard of some great use cases where instead of, a user setting up an account and then, getting the funding only to find out, oh yeah, maybe I don't need to use Open OnDemand, they can play around with this demo container to see, oh yeah, actually I really like the way that I can engage with the scheduler or launch Jupyter all through Open OnDemand. I actually want to go forward and use this. Or again, administrators really taking a peek behind the curtains and saying, oh wow, this tool is going to be super helpful for my users. So we created a new container image there. It's in our GitHub, our main GitHub repository, if you are interested in that. Also, too, we've been going through a bit of a review in our older issues. So again, being a project that's been around for over 10 years, we've had some things that have come along for the ride for quite some time. So we've been going through those and really reviewing them diligently. Does this still fit with our solutions? Does this still fit with our scope and vision for Open OnDemand, or has the technology changed? Is this no longer viable, or has a community member actually contributed this and they're willing to push up the code? Stuff like that. So that is ongoing, and we meet weekly to discuss that. And then also, too, release announcements. We've been really trying our best to make our release announcements, which are located in Discourse, a bit more thorough. So they're not just read by systems administrators, but all people that are interested, whether they're students, end users, researchers, whoever. And so, again, we post those in Discourse if you're interested, and we do have 4.05 coming out here in the next week or two, so stay tuned if you're waiting for that patch. And then finally, if you are interested in viewing the action of what's going on, so we do have our main repository. We call it the mono repo, which is all _OnDemand. And there you can take a look and peek around with the issues that we have that we're currently working on, whether our projects, like the few that I called out with our GitHub review. We have a roadmap project as well to look at the epics plan for our next minor release 4.1 or the one after that 4.2. And then milestones too, to see how we've really bucketed our issues and what our plannings are, what we're planning. Feel free to also submit any issues you have for ideas of how we can make Open OnDemand better. We're definitely interested in that, and at least for me in my role, I take that very, very seriously. Community interest and community contributions. And if you want the link to our GitHub, it's right there. But feel free to poke around and let me know if you have any questions. And then with that, I have a QR code if you're interested in signing up for our mailing list, and if you have any questions, but that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Questions, comments? So this means that everybody loved it.
Yeah, one question.
I just have a very short, quick question. How does it handle the authentication? Is it like LDAP based or?
How does it handle authentication?
Yeah, for users.
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't want to say something wrong, but the first diagram I showed where you can select the authentication, it plugs in via Apache modules, yeah, with Open OnDemand. But to find out more, yeah, I'm really sorry I don't know the answer to your question, Charlie. I know that many authentication providers are used all across the board, and we have that documented or found in discourse. But yeah, your specific question, I don't know.
Okay,
it's very good though.
Any more questions? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.